collaborative effort of the Finance Business Partners and Accounting Job Hub. The aim of this session is to equip you with valuable knowledge and insight on how you can ace your next interview. Interview sessions are one of the major recruitment processes in Nigeria. Cognate knowledge and interview skills will sure aid your quest for great jobs in your choice industry. So in the course of this session, we'll hear interviewees respond to questions that will be asked by the panelists we have in this call, and thereafter, our resource persons will speak generally on loopholes and give guides and techniques that we can employ to ace our future interview sessions. We have about 4 to 5 interviewees who would be using their application process as a base for this mock interview that we'll be having this evening. So do enjoy your time with us. The session promises to be value-packed. Okay, so we get started with the session now. Mr. George, if you are there, kindly say hello for us.
Okay, hi everybody. Good evening. Thank you for having today. So a bit of background. Today's session is not. Sorry, my background is a bit noisy because where I am there's some storm, but we'll survive. So today's session is primarily to try to be as practical as possible in terms of interviews, and I've been fortunate to interview quite a number of people in my life, and I think I've also been interviewed by quite a number of people. So, and I think one of the things I picked up from it is an interview session is a sales session. And when you are going to sell a product, you go with your best foot forward. You go with the best of everything you have. And as much as possible, when you want to sell something, you sell to the customer. You know, you are not selling for yourself. You're selling to the customer. And what that primarily means is you're going there with the mindset of understanding what the customer wants, and you trying to fit in what you're selling into what the customer wants. So, with that little bit of introduction and everything, so I think first thing we need to start is maybe we start with the resume. I think we're looking at the resume briefly. Hi, I think it's for Yaya Salifu, right?
No, I think that's for you, Ibrahim. I think we should start with this section first. We'll touch.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's talk briefly about the section. Now, the first thing about a job is this: your resume or your CV is the first thing everybody sees or knows when you're starting a job process. And what does a resume or CV cover? It tells them a story about you. There are different types of CVs, there are different types of resume, and there are different approaches to it. Some organizations, what they do, they use a tool. I've forgotten the name of that tool. I think ATC or something, whereby the tool filters CV. And here's what I always advise people, that when you're looking for a job, when you're submitting CV, look at it from this perspective. If you think you're qualified, the organization might receive 2,000, 5,000 CVs that are even more qualified than you. But the question is, you know deep down that you can do the job. You know deep down that you have what it takes to succeed. But the real problem is, how do you get into the door to prove that you have something to succeed? So with my experience of looking through so many CVs, I'm not a HR person, but I've been able to see so many CVs. And one of the things I've picked out is this. I see a lot of generic CV. When people do CV, what they do is go online, download the template, put your name, edit, and submit. So I will advise as much as possible to stop doing that for all the jobs. Yes, it's good. You start with a template, you start and submit it. But as much as possible, make sure your CV is in line with the job you are looking for. So for example, you are looking for an auditing job.
Oh my God!
Please. Okay. As much as possible, you are looking for an auditing job. There you are submitting your accounting CV. Okay. When you submit your accounting CV, yes, you might be lucky to be called, but reality is that really your best? It may not necessarily be your best. So try as much as possible to use your CV. And when I say adjust your CV, or let me use the word tailor CV. Tailor CV doesn't mean lying in your CV. No. Tailor CV means pull out the skill sets that you have that matches the job description. So, for example, they can, let me look for a typical scenario. Maybe because part of auditing is they look for things like integrity, or look for things like professional skepticism, ability to do all those. So you try as much as possible to make sure those kind of keywords or key things are in your resume, so that even when somebody is reading it, they understand it, that, oh, okay, this person, yes, maybe has worked in accounting, but is looking for an auditing role. And yes, the person has certain skill sets that matches both roles. Every employer wants to hire the best. You need to realize that, and they actually want to hire. So you always have to make sure you put your best foot forward. Forget whether you are an accountant or not, you're looking for auditing role, or forget whether you're an auditor and you're looking for accounting role. The reality about work is, no work you do that they won't train you. They will still train you. Nobody, it's only maybe when you get to a very senior level that nobody wants to train you again. You're a very senior manager, or a senior manager, a director, CFO, whatever. At that point, nobody trains you anymore, but you still get some form of reward. As long as you're still in the entry level, supervisor level, there will still be some training. What everybody needs, everybody understands that where you're probably coming from is different from the way they are doing things in their current organization. So no matter how smart you are, they will still put you through a couple of things. But the expectation is that within a short period of time, you get it and you will excel and move forward. So the first thing is, make sure your CV is right. Make sure your CV is tailored towards that particular role, is matching it. Don't put things that are unrelated. I've seen CV for somebody looking for account officer role, putting a football team, all those kind of things. Yeah, sometimes it's okay, if there's space on your CV. But you're looking for an entry-level job, or maybe the next level, and you're having a 3-page CV, 4-page CV. Okay, the guy who wants to interview doesn't care. At that point, his only interest is, especially for entry level, the only interest they want is, are you smart enough to be trained? Are you smart enough to learn fast? 2, are you trainable? Okay, then 3, can you fit into the team? Because it's always very important that no matter how smart or good you are, you must be able to fit into the team that they have in the organization. If not, you will come in and create problems. It's not just necessarily being smart. It's about ability to know, okay, once this guy or lady comes in, you can blend in easily into the system. Very importantly. Then, also, at the point when you've submitted your CV, when you've actually tailored your CV, and you now get invited, which is where the real focus of today is, and the juice is in the game for you. Rule number 1, and I tell people this: research. Research, research, research. I see many people come for an interview with the hope that they'll just wing it. And that's the first problem I always have. When you're coming for an interview, it's a sales opportunity. It's the first impression. Don't come to interview in my company and be telling me only what you have done in your organization. If I'm interviewing you, I don't care. Oh yeah, you've been the best guy in your company. That's your personal problem. It's good to be the best in your company. There's a time to brag. There's a time to be excited about it. But hey, I have a gap in my company. I'm trying to hire an accountant. I'm trying to hire an auditor. Tell me what you are bringing to the table to help me fit that role. For me to now believe that, okay, man, if I don't hire this guy or this girl, I'm going to lose. Don't just tell me. Now, where your company comes in, and this is what I advise people, where what you've done in the past comes in, is when you are giving examples of things that you've achieved. So maybe they say, tell me a situation where you had a problem, or let's say, tell me a situation where you made a mistake, and what did you do about that mistake? Then you can now refer them back to where you worked before with a real example of what you did. I think I've heard a couple of acronyms around. I think one is STAR. That's a guide that you can use. STAR. STAR means situation or scenario. You need to talk about the situation or scenario. T is for task. What task did you handle? A is for action. What were the actions you took? Then R is for results. What was the final result? So situation. Oh, in my company, we had a problem with a customer coming in, or we needed to file a return, but the timeline was getting too close, and we are nowhere near there. Okay, good. What was the task that you were assigned to do? So in that thing, I was now assigned to handle certain tasks. I did this task, I did this task. Then, okay, in the task, what did you exactly do? Okay, so my action was I took this report, I posted it, I stayed overnight, I now did this, blah, 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 blah. Then the result, what was the result? Unfortunately, we were able to meet the timeline. And when we met the timeline, my supervisor was happy and I got the commendation for it. That's a guide towards handling many questions in interview sessions. Always remember that at the back of your mind. The star. I'm not an expert, like I said. We'll look for HR person to give me more of the technicalities. I will tell you from the accounting perspective. So that I always advise people to do that. So it's very important. Don't just go to an interview to wing it. Oh, you're going to an auditing firm. First of all, you need to ask yourself the question: if I'm on the side of the table, what would I be looking for in hiring somebody? For example, maybe graduate training, entry level. Of course, for most graduate trainee jobs now, I can assure you they get 50, 60, 100,000 CVs, including your own. So the question is, how do I stand out of that 100,000 CV to get the job? Because they probably only want to hire maybe 10 people, at best 15 or 20 if you're lucky. And here is 100,000 CVs. How do I stand out? Step one is, which is your CV must be tailored as much as possible. I advise people, when you see those kind of huge recruitment, put keywords you see in the job description, put it on your CV as much as possible. Don't lie. That one, if you lie, if you put yourself in trouble, because at the end of the day, if you lie, you may not be able to defend it. So it's very, very important that you don't lie on your CV, but at least look for keywords. Then two, there's a tool that somebody showed me once, and I think might be helpful. There's one they call Res Runner. What Res Runner does is you copy the job descriptions or job requirements. You paste it into that website called Res Runner. Then on the other side, you paste your own CV. So what Res Runner will do, you will tell you your chances of being invited. For example, what it does is it looks like keywords in that job description or job role versus the keywords on your CV. And it tells you that maybe you have a 30% chance of being invited, 40% chance, meaning that you need to improve your CV with some of those keywords to at least get a higher chance, so that even if they are putting it into that software, there's high chances that you will be called. You don't have to be 100% qualified in terms of all they've asked for. But as long as you are, I think 80% or so qualified, you are fine. They will call you. That one, I've seen people use it so many times and it works. But it works, it works even without the software, because if I'm looking for certain key indices, and I'm seeing it on the person's CV, most likely I'll invite the person. Oh, this guy has the right skill set on paper. Let me bring the person in to interview. So it's very important. Don't just throw CVs. I used to do it too. You just see any job, you take one CV, just fire it, and the rest is prayer. Okay, I'll check it's a website. People will just shoot it out. Oh God, oh, please, I've applied for 50 jobs. Let them call me. So it's very important. Try and compare your CV on it. Then after you've compared the CV, now we're talking about going into the, as I round up briefly, just talk about going into the interview session. Rule number one, remember, there's only once that you get the opportunity of a first impression. So as much as possible, and like I always tell people, you want to sell a product, you will not take a product to a customer that has tier carton. Even though everything in your shop is tier, but at least the one you will take there, you will look for the one with the best packaging that looks most attractive. So that's the same thing you should think about when you are going for that interview session. You must go there with the best packaging. Like, even if you are not the best person, if you don't have suit, I tell people, go and borrow. I've seen people come to interview for accounting role with short sleeve shirts, with no jacket, just wear tie and shirt. Yeah, some people don't care, Some people don't care. Yeah, because it doesn't matter. But look, like I said, it's a sales session. You are trying to sell yourself that you are the best. So automatically, I can tell you, if 10 people come with 9 people come with short sleeve shirt and 1 come with suit, even if the person with suit is not the finest, believe me, the one with suit has the higher chances with me. Because like I said, it's all about first impression. It means you took out the time, to want to present yourself. You are really putting in your best effort. And that's what people want to see on the job. That, oh, okay, this guy, when I hire this guy, he will put his best efforts forward. Okay, and that's one of the things that count. Then also when you are responding to questions too, as much as possible, you need to understand certain things. Fine, if you don't have to have all the answers, but there has to be a flow to the way you respond to questions. But I think by the time we go into this session with people, we'll be able to make it practical, because as much as possible, I don't want to just tell you theories. I want us to see it like one-on-one. Let's be practical. Let's be sincere with reality. Like, the truth is, there's no right or wrong way to doing interviews. But the best thing is go with your best foot forward. And remember, you can only make a first impression once. These guys don't know you. For them to invite you in the first instance, I always tell people, it's because there's something they believe in you. So come and show them that they are not wrong. So that's the whole idea. I think I'll summarize with that, and maybe we'll just start with the session and let's see what will happen. Okay, Idris, over to you.
Thank you very much for the insight, sir. Okay, so to the other panelists, now, if you have other contributions, in addition to what Mr. George has said, you can also put in your contributions. Then from my own end now, I think there are also instances, or there are also points where candidates or potential employees also get some certain things wrong. Now, for someone that has actually tailored his CV now to apply for the role of an account officer, the truth is you can't use one specific CV now to apply for multiple jobs or for 1,000 jobs. In as much as one tries his or her best to tailor his CV to apply for specific roles to present himself as the best candidate to be hired, when other vacancies come up, you don't use same CV that you used to apply for an account officer role to now start applying for maybe a tax trainee or a finance analyst in another organization. The key in this is there will definitely be missing. Is specific roles and job descriptions have to tally with the content of our CVs. Now, for a role that actually centers its job description or maybe reconciliation, and here you are coming to tell us that, okay, all the work experience that you've had, you've never done anything concerning reconciliation before. All you've done maybe is just regarding posting entries or posting of transactions. In such instances, your chances are actually limited. In some regions, we as applicants or people who actually apply for jobs even limit their chances of being called for interview even before they're even selected now, or before applicants are even selected. I think that's one area that people or applicants or potential employees who want to actually get hired would need to work more on. Need to actually know the industry you are applying to, the role you want to apply for, why you want to apply for such role. You yourself, you need to ask questions. It's not at interview grounds, so when you attend interviews that the interviewers will not be asking you that, okay, why did you apply for this job? What do you think you can do? What can you offer? It won't be for such instances or before moment. You as an individual want to apply for a job. You're supposed to ask yourself, okay, can you do this job? Does the job description tally with the skills and proficiencies that I have as a person? Is this what I can do? Is the organization, is it a place I can thrive? What they do what they do tally with what I want to achieve in my own career? Does their description of this particular role, does it suit my career objective? Does it suit my ambition? Even before sending in the application, these are key metrics that we would actually look out for. We don't just send CVs to multiple outlets. There are instances where human resource executives would even call you and ask that, okay, did you apply for? When you send multiple applications, you may not even know the role that you actually applied for. That's another area that we need to work on. Then other panelists can come in now. Oinda, do you have anything for us, Sean?
Okay, nothing much. We just need to start the section. I think we're far behind time.
Yes, let's just start.
So
Yes.
is Mr. Ibrahim on the call?
Mr. Ibrahim, or can you read the address?
Mr. Ibrahim Abdulrahman. I think we'll start
Yeah, I'm
with
on
you
the
first.
call. I'm on the call.
Okay. Okay, thanks, guys. So we'll be having a demo interview section with Mr. Ibrahim first. So it will be for the role. I think it does not have a specific role, but I think it's a government, something like a government institutional job, which is applying for. So assume the role of an accountant from him, from that perspective. I think this why the other interview they'll be looking at. I think entry level role for audit firm, that's professional service firm. So but I think Mr. Ibrahim's section is an accountant role in an government institution. I don't know if I'm correct, Mr. Ibrahim. I think that's what it seems to me.
Yeah, that is correct, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so do I start with the basics first, or who would commence with him?
Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Ibrahim.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's meet you.
Pardon, sir. Your last gold.
Okay. Can we meet you? Can you hear me?
So,
Yeah, I can hear you.
sorry guys, my internet was misbehaving. Sorry, I think I'm back online now.
Okay, so we are having Mr. Ibrahim first, so we want to have the demo interview session with him now. So I'll be starting with the basics with him. So I'm asking him to tell us basically about himself. Mr. Ibrahim, you can go ahead now.
Okay, let me help you, Ibrahim, so that we be as practical as possible and as a guide. So one mistake many people do, right, when they say, okay, tell us about yourself, we all start by reading our CV. And it's very wrong. It's very wrong because, hey, you've already submitted your CV. The paper is standing in front of the person interviewing you. You know, it doesn't help your situation. It doesn't help because the person can read. So most times that's an opportunity to tell them about yourself. So I think what you should do is start by talking about briefly about maybe skills and abilities you have that makes you suitable for the job. So don't read your CV for them again. Tell them what's not on your CV in terms of skills and ability, a very brief summary of yourself, and such that it can help them know what you are bringing on board. So let's try that with you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Okay, sir. For start, my name is Abrahman Ibrahim Tahir. I'm a graduate of BSc Sociology from Umar Musa University. Though accounting aspect is not my field of study, but I have some practical aspect of it. I've worked with Abdullah Kuda and Co. from 2017 to date, and I provide some technical partnership to them, data analyst, and the rest of that. I think that's brief about myself, the skills, and my career.
You didn't mention. Can you mention some specific skills? So I think what you've done is good, but it's relatively generic. You know, you have technical skills. You know, as much as possible, tell us. Maybe, for example, you are interviewing for a government job in accounting. Okay, so I'm an expert in preparing financial reports. Do you understand? So don't try as much as possible to be not too detailed, but as much as possible to point towards some of the keywords in what was in the vacancy. So, for example, they look for somebody with knowledge in IFRS 15, or they look for somebody who can prepare balance sheet reports, or somebody who can do reconciliation. So, in your telling them about yourself, you can use some of those keywords in there. Okay, I'm Ibrahim, I've done this. I've been doing reconciliations for the last 5 years across different departments. Those kind of things. So, do you want to retry, or you're okay with this?
No, let me retry.
Awesome.
Okay. My name is Abrahman, graduate of BSc Sociology from Musa University. I have worked with Abdullah Kuda, a certified national accountant. The skills I possessed during my experience in the certified accounting auditing firm, I have preferred audited financial statement and preferred general ledger, cash books, cash flow statements, payment vouchers invoice, and I have worked with accounting database management softwares. So I can both paperwork, and I'm okay with using digital skills. That is to say, database softwares in preparing financial reports for organizations.
Awesome. So at least you see, you've been able to tell them what's not on your CV, because reality is, yes, part of it is on your CV, but some of the things you have in terms of skill set may not be on your CV. So it helps to us to talk about it at that point. Then also, I think maybe later on, just try to look for one or two softwares to put the actual one, especially if there's a particular software that they are using that they are looking for. That's a good way to chip it in. So I think that's a good intro, but I think you get the general flow. Talk about some of your own personal skills that you bring on board, and those skills, make sure it ties to what they are looking for, because it's very, very important. So they know that, okay, they are talking to the right person. So Idris, over to you.
Okay, so that's a good one. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so let's talk about your educational background now. What qualifications do you have that you think makes you suitable for the role you applied for?
I have qualification of BSc Sociology and a professional diploma in ICT.
Sorry, what role did you apply for again?
I'm applying for, like I said during the first introduction, I'm applying for an accounting position in a government organization.
Okay, what makes you actually suitable, since you actually have BSc in sociology and you've also had experience in information technology, that's IT now. So why do you want to dive into accounting?
I've been practicing basic aspects of accounting and auditing the past 6 years, that is 2017 to date. That make me the experience I have gathered as a practical auditor. So I think that makes me suitable for the job.
Okay, Mr. George, do you have anything to say regarding what the answer he gave to this aspect of the question?
Okay, great. So I think his answer is okay. I think it's okay because, hey, typical thing is, okay, you've not worked in the role. So most times this happens, right? If you've been able to tailor your CV. So let me tell you what normally happens. When you tailor your CV, the system will choose you. And typical HR will say, okay, they've gotten 20 CVs. They will submit it to the finance department. Come, this person doesn't have accounting experience, but the person is here. And meanwhile, HR has already invited you to come for the interview. So most often than not, it makes it a bit, if you don't have a background in accounting or finance, it makes it a bit an uphill task for you. But reality is, whether uphill task or not, you have the skills and you know. So it's a good way to sell yourself. So good. They've asked you and you've told them. And in fact, what you're saying at this point in time is that, look, not only do you have the skill sets, right, but you also have additional skill sets which will be very helpful. For example, you have IT background. So when you talk of IT, you don't just post with, you don't just do manual work. You understand the ability to automate process, which is effectively what you're saying based on your response, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. So you're bringing in skill sets to show them that, look, yes, what you want is this. I've been working in this field doing this, and not only am I doing this, I have this additional skill set. Always remember at the back of your mind throughout the whole session, what you're doing is you're selling yourself. And in selling yourself, like a typical sales process, you're trying to bring to the subconscious of the person buying from you a certain thing you want him to do. And I tell people this thing, very important in interview sessions. You, the interviewee, have the power and ability to lead the interview session. There will be moments where they will ask you questions that you don't have answer to. But it is the way you respond to it that will change the conversation back to where you want them to be. They can ask you, okay, how many, but you've never prepared a P&L before. Oh, yes, I've never prepared P&L before fully because I've not had the opportunity in my organization. However, there was this time we had to do a report fully in terms of meeting a quarterly, reporting deadline. I was in charge of making sure that expenses were correct. And after doing everything, they gave me the whole report to review it and ensure casting was done. By the time you start talking in a different language that they understand, okay, this person, maybe because he never had the opportunity to do it, right? That's why he hasn't done it. But it doesn't mean he cannot do it when the chips are down. The guy understands, okay, let me put in the extra work. I need to be able to review. I need to be able to engage. So I think the response is fine. It's very okay. So, but very importantly, always try to bring them to your comfort zone. If they ask you questions, respond to it and use samples in your comfort zones. Because the challenge most times, I tell you this, is this. When they ask you a question, if you are not careful, if you are rattled, you might fail the interview from then on. Not because they want you to fail, but because in your head, hey, God, I've goofed. Hey, I don't goof. Oh, hey, what do I do? And before you know it, you lose your composure. And if you lose your composure, you will not be able to respond to other things easily. So, and very importantly, I tell people, if you don't know something, there's no harm in saying I don't know. It's just how you say it. For example, if you ask me, do I understand IFRS 15? And I've heard of it before, because at least for an accounting rule, they might put it in there in the job description, prepare revenue. Automatically, there's an accounting standard that guides revenue. So you may not understand it. You just do a quick research. And as I said at the beginning, research is very important. You watch the accounting standards guide revenue recognition, whatever it is. Okay, IFRS 15. You don't know what it is. You never use it. It doesn't matter. So they ask you, what accounting standards guides revenue recognition? Hey, have you ever used IFRS 15? Yes and no. Yes and no is in the sense that I know what IFRS 15 is. It covers revenue recognition, is the guide around anything concerning revenue recognition. But my roles in the past have allowed me to focus on this and this and this. This is how we do it in our organization, which I believe is also in line with some of the principles of IFRS 15. That way, you can see that I've not said anything about IFRS 15 because I've not mentioned that there are 5 steps to it because I probably don't know. But because I know they're talking about revenue recognition, I will be able to divert the conversation to how we recognize revenue in my organization and what are the key areas we're looking out for in terms of risk management, in terms of completeness and things like that. So it's just a tip for you also when you're answering those kind of questions. Bring them to your comfort zone. Be confident. Just take it to what you are familiar with. Don't let them bobo you because accountants, they can ask some kind of bobo-ish questions. All right, thanks. Idris, over to you.
Okay, so in addition to what Mr. George has said, okay, I think for entry-level roles now, I think we actually need to put forward our ability now to actually learn easily, or the fact that, okay, if you employ me for this particular role, I'm actually willing to learn. I've learned and adapted to different scenarios or systems in the past, and I'm actually willing to do it again. I'm open to learning. I'm a lifelong learner and stuff like that, just to show enthusiasm when in interview sessions. Okay, let's go a bit technical now. Okay, now what in a situation now you're asked where you see yourself in 5 years' time, or since you're actually applying to a government establishment, what do you hope to attain? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, they'll likely be part of, let me say, accounting associations like an ICANN and rest of the professional bodies. So, in 5 years' time, I see myself as an independent, practical accountant. So, sorry, I think that will be all.
Okay. So the question there is this: where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? So, for example, now we're talking of a government organization. Do you know why they're asking that question? They're asking to know whether you're somebody that will soon run away. Of course, deep down, you're somebody that will run away. You know you're going to run, but the truth is, you always still have to figure out to blow some line. So my advice, which I always tell people, is this: you can come up with a role. So, for example, depends on how low the position you are entering from is. So it could be I don't know, maybe junior accountant. I don't know their grading system and there. So the first thing I expect is probably say you see yourself as a manager leading a team in the organization. Of course, it's a lie. We and I know that if you see better work today, you will run. But you will tell them those stories to let them know that okay, you are very ambitious. So in my 5 years time in this organization, I hope to have become a manager or an assistant manager. I don't know how government works, which is where the research comes in. For example, I think government work, they promote once in 2 or 3 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if they promote in 3 years, it means you probably get only one promotion before then, or max 2 if you are very good at what you do. So you need to also take that into consideration and say, okay, hey, if they are taking me as an accountant level 8, it takes 3 years to be a level 10 or whatever. Is it level 9? I don't know how it works. So you tell them something along the next line that, okay, I hope to be a level 10. You can push it higher than the next level. Maybe the next level is in 3 years' time. So in 5 years' time, I hope to be a level 10 or level 12 officer in charge of preparation of the final records for the agency. Do you get? And between now and then, my goal is to be able to go through certain courses that will prepare me for that. And some of the courses I've looked out for is understanding public sector accounting. Do you understand? So you start to reel out some things that show that, okay, you actually have a target to be in that organization. Then over the next 5 years, you're going to acquire the right skill sets to be able to fit into that particular dream role. Yeah, and I know that that's a lie. And maybe in 6 months, if you see another opportunity, you will run, which is fine. We all do it. But at that session, you need to convince them that you are here to come and stay. Like, after here, you are tearing your CV, you are not even looking for another job. And the only way you can convince them that is, like I said, research. You need to understand how the organization works. What's the next level? How long does it take to promote people? Who are the people that prepare final accounts? I'm not sure if it's level 10 that prepare final accounts in government. Maybe it's level 15. I don't know. I'm not much of a government person. So you need to do all those research and speak to those things to let them know, okay, they are not just coming in to just come and be speaking English. So it's very important. Don't just give them that very short, brief answer. They don't care. Believe me, nobody cares about your personal life. The most important thing is when they're asking you your goals in 5 years, they want to see if it aligns with the organization. Because remember, government agencies are not places where they want people to just come and go. They believe in long-term professional career. So you must also always tell them that story of the professional career. So right now, maybe after this, go and do your quick research on that particular organization. How long does it take to get promotion? Then what's the next level if they are entering at this particular level? Those kind of, you don't have to have all the answers, but at least just have an idea so that you can use it to have a conversation around it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. It's over to you.
Okay, so we are going a bit more technical now. We are done with the peripheral aspect. So the next phase now, okay, just as Mr. George said, I'm not expecting you to know the answers to all the questions I'll be asking, but I'm just out to test your thinking capacity or just for you to showcase the fact that, okay, you can actually reason and say things even when you're not prepared. So, okay, the next question goes thus. What do you understand by regulatory compliance, and why do government establishments need to comply with laws and regulations?
Regulatory compliance, in my own understanding, are established laws by the Federation requiring each organization to please comply with the established rules. Then I think it's part of the thing. Sir, sorry. Hello?
Go ahead.
Second, I did the second part clearly.
Okay, Idris.
It says what my understanding on regulatory
compliance, and why do this particular organization that wants to employ you as a government establishment, why do they need to comply with laws and regulations?
What did they? It doubled. Hello, sir. Hello?
Okay.
I'm getting network issues here. The second part of the question, it's garbled. I didn't get it clearly.
Okay, Idris, can you come again one more time?
The second part of the question is asking you why government establishments need to comply with laws and regulations.
Okay. Government organizations need to comply with regulations because they need to set an example. These regulations are set by the government. So if government organizations not comply with those regulations, then what do we expect of private organizations? So I think the need to an example for the private organizations and other individuals.
Okay, so you can tweak your answer a little different and how do I call it? Apply it to your organization. So when you talk of government regulations, do you even understand what the government regulations are? Maybe I don't know. For example, let's say complying with the tax laws and everything.
Yeah.
Good. So if you understand, it would be nice to like point to point out the benefit to your organization. Remember, they are not just asking you generic questions. Most times, let me tell you one truth. When they're asking you questions, yes, they might try to throw you off guard by saying things. But reality is, look, they are expecting you to tailor it towards the organization you're coming from. For example, when you say, okay, yeah, government is expected that every organization should comply because they're laying a good example for the country and everything, blah, blah, blah. Then you tailor it to where they are. So, for example, now, this our agency that's in charge of, what do you call it? Food, NAFDAC, food, maybe that's where you apply to. This agency in charge of NAFDAC. NAFDAC would not be seen as a responsible organization if it's not complying to the important regulations, like, for example, paying taxes as I went due, important regulations as remitting whatever revenue that's due to government, so you bring it home technically. So they show, okay, this guy understands what we are doing here. Do you get? So try as much as possible to bring home whatever your response is, because don't forget, in that organization, the reason why they will ask you sometimes is they want to throw you off guard. So I do it too a lot when I interview, because I know some people come with scripts. They've already crammed all the answer in their head from home. They are ready to speak. So sometimes I will even ask them, tell me what you do on a Saturday. I ask that a lot. People that have interviewed with me. Do you have a girlfriend? When last did you take your girlfriend out? So you'll be wondering, what has that got to do with the job? The whole idea is, I know you've come with some scripts in your head to come and say, but I'm trying to break that confusion, because the interview session is not to drill you or groom you. Do you get? Rather, but to get to know you. That's the whole essence of an interview. We want to know you. I don't care if you know IFRS 15. I don't care if you know all the IFRSs in your head. The point is, are you trainable? Can I fit you into my role? Because most often than not, like you now looking for a government job, you probably will not do IFRS. Your job might just involve maybe doing one reconciliation for the next 2 years. So yes, you know IFRS, but you're not going to use it. But at the end of the day, the important thing is, can you fit into, the organization? So that's just my advice. Always bring it home. Whatever question they will, bring it home to the particular scenario you're trying to deal with. Thanks.
Okay, so the last part of your own demo interview is, okay, do you have any questions for us? Questions that you'd like to attend to?
Okay, yes. Sir? No?
So in every interview, they'll ask you, do you have any questions?
Okay. For now, I don't think I have a question, because I thought I would be the one. I thought the interview, they'll be the ones to be asking me questions, not the other way around. I have never experienced an interview where I was asked to ask a question. So
okay, there will definitely be some interviews. It's common. I think maybe it's common. It's a common thing. So the thing I would advise. Okay, go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Is it in order to ask about the working hours, the working days, the remuneration there, the working conditions, and if they give chances to further studies and the rest of that?
Yes, you can ask. Though the advice is this: don't ask for working hours in your first interview, because if you send the wrong signal that this one that has not come yet is already trying to know that is it going to work late. There's a time to ask for that. Past the first stage, second stage is when you get to the HR person, when you're having the final negotiation conversation. You have the room to ask for that. But most times, what I always advise people to do at the first stage, you've already asked one of them, like, is there a career growth opportunity? Like, what are the opportunities that lie behind this job? Is there an organization that encourage training? Then two, one thing I always ask too when I go for those interviews is, what led to the role? Is it a new role, or is it that somebody left, that we are currently being interviewed? So it will give you an idea. And most times the way they will respond to will let you know, because one thing about interviews I advise people also is this: interview is not one way. Don't go with the mindset that they are interviewing you. You are also interviewing them, because you don't want to go to a company that when you enter, realize how more you've made the biggest mistake of your life. So it's very important. And so with that at the back of your mind, you should define the kind of questions you are going there 2 weeks. When they finish drilling, you too can ask questions, sir. What's me? I ask this is what keeps you coming to work here? What's the most exciting thing about this organization for you, sir? I always ask my interviewers. I've asked HR too that, what do you enjoy most about doing this work? You will know when somebody is giving you BS answer, like, it's a nice place. But when somebody is saying something that is true, you will see some level of passion inside them that, I love this place. So a typical thing we have, thank God it's Friday. So okay, it's a family type setting. And some places they won't even answer you. The way they will even respond to you, they will respond in a hard way. So that let me not leave my comfortable job and jump here. After 1 or 2 months now, life will just be miserable for me. So as much as possible, you can ask questions. Not too many, so that it doesn't be like you're twisting the interview around. But at least ask them, okay, what are the growth opportunities in here? Then, maybe you can ask the size of the team. If it's important to you, that how big is the accounting team? Are they only 2 people? So that you work and die. Or maybe they have enough staff, okay, this one, at least if they have enough people, then the work is not to work and die. So just ask things that are very important to you to really know about it. And if you don't have a question, you don't have to question. There's no harm. At this moment, I don't have anything in particular, or just to know more about the organization and how much impact, whatever it is. But don't ask questions that would not point the right direction, like work hours. I always advise, don't do that early. Do that towards the end of it. Maybe because now you're still at the first stage, it's first impression. When they like you, they will now call you back for a second one, or you'll be talking to HR. That's where you can ask, sorry, what's the typical work hours? Do you work weekends? All those things. But not at the first stage. All right.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I think that would do for our first interview. Let's have the next person on board so we can wrap up first.
Thanks, Ibrahim. Thank you much.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
All right.
Okay, so the next person will be taking is coming from accounting job of community group. So I think India will introduce the person for us.
Well, I saw him on the call. So Rashid, are you ready? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let me.
Should I forward my CV to you on WhatsApp?
Sean, he's saying he's asking if you can forward the CV.
And that's fine. But it's not necessary.
Necessary.
Okay.
So you can just
Okay, what role is this?
Can you hear me? No, not now.
Okay, so what role are you at?
Role in accounting, sir.
Okay, so Mr. Rashid told us about skills and abilities and why they are actually appropriate said role.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Am I audible enough, please?
Yes,
Uh, my name is Salaudin Rashid, and thank you for this opportunity anyway. Although I'm a recent graduate and having studied the various descriptions for this accounting role, I'm quite confident that I have the skills, qualities, and even the qualification needed to excel in the role. My strengths include my ability to learn things very quickly, and I have this problem-solving capability. I'm a self-motivated individual, very adaptable, and I can manage significant workload under very little supervision. What I am looking for actually is a company I can grow my career, a company I can add value to, and a company that I can produce a positive return and get to join a strong team. The fact that I'm a man of the people, I'm a people's man, means that I will always be a positive role model for this company if I am selected and I take responsibility for my professional career. Thank you, sir.
Mr. George.
Okay, I think I like that introduction. Very straightforward, very energetic. Very important. So that's a very. I think I'm echoing. Okay, great. So I think that's a very good one. That's a very energetic one because at the entry level already you don't have any experience or anything. So the expectation is not. Nobody expects you to bring in work experience and talk about what you've done in the past in terms of work. But at the same time, there are expectations in terms of abilities and skill sets. So that's a very good answer. I think you've nailed it as far as I'm concerned. You didn't waste time talking about your CV. It's there. People know you went to school, but you've spoken about who you are as a person, which is a good one. So I think that's a good one, Idris. So next question.
Okay, so let's head straight into the technical aspects now. Okay, so since you studied accounting and you're actually applying for an entry level role now, okay, so what do you know about accounting standards and why do we need to apply accounting standards in the preparation of financial statements?
So, accounting standards, these are standards put in place to regulate the accounting operation in the industry. And of course, I know we have the standards specifically made for private industry and the standards specifically made for the public. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the second question. I was using. I didn't get the first question, sir.
Idris, can you take that?
Please.
If I get you right, you're asking if I'm looking for a finance role or an accounting role.
Yes, that's so
Okay, let me chip in. I think you have to explain. You have to. I think that's how it's echoing. Okay, great. So let me chip in here. Briefly. The thing about entry level role is this, right? Entry level means you're looking for very smart people, people with ability to learn fast, fit in, and grow with the organization. So at that point, not much expectation is had for your work experience in the past. The only thing they want to do with your work experience is they want to see whether you have certain skill set and certain what do you call it? Should I call it characteristics or whatever? One, I want to see how much of a fast learner you are. That's good. Everybody learns fast. Everybody says they learn fast, okay? But your CV will demonstrate whether you're a fast learner or not, or even by the time I'm engaging with you, that's one. Then two, want to see your integrity. Are you somebody with integrity? So those things, we will ask you questions along those lines to know how truthful you are. Then three, want to see what you've done in your life. So everybody will come here and say, yes, so I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. So apart from you going to school, what else have you done? Do you get what have you done in your life that is worthy to discuss in an interview session? For example, some people during their NYC was in charge of a project, or was in charge of projects that led to maybe helping some communities develop, helping some schools develop. For example, in my own time then, when I think one of the things that got me, I was fortunate, I worked for PwC. One of the things that got me was the fact that after school, I was running a home tutor business. Like, I was tutoring, primary school, and early stage secondary school children. So when I was able to bring that up during the interview session, what it showed was, I didn't just sit there after school, after feeding on my parents, but rather I was able to do other things, to show that, okay, I'm adding value. And I think between then, so I did one or two programs, like, I think that was when I did my NIM and all that. Then one other body to Institute of Strategic Management then. And then I just finished school. I think I even did both before I went for my NYSC. So I was able to bring those into the conversation, and it showed that, okay, this guy puts in the efforts, to actually develop himself and will be somebody that will be willing to add value. And the reality is this, I think most people have this experience also. Most people have done it, in their life after school. But the problem most people do is they look at it that is not so important. Maybe some of you, your mom or your uncle has businesses or stores that you help them to sell, So the thing is, you just don't know how to articulate it. So maybe let's try that with Rashid. What have you done after school that you think it's something of pride to you that is good, that can also help you sell yourself?
Okay, thank you for this question, sir. Even before graduating from school, I think I'm proud that at least I was able to complete my ATS program up to a point, even though I'm not an accounting student. And currently I'm on the final stage of my account program. And for the past 3 years or so, I've been tutoring ATS students. And from these, I've been able to gather some financial strength to help myself in this academic journey as well. And even up to now, at least I'm proud of something that, even though I get paid for my ATS studies, there are some students that I voluntarily took the whole courses. At least I can mention like 3 or 4 students that I voluntarily took through their ATS career. So this has been part of my personal achievement that I'm proud of today. They are somewhere great. They are even done with their ATS level. So these are some things that I'm proud of anyway. And I'm very sure even if I'm employed for this role, I definitely will be an addition, a worthy contribution to your team.
Sorry, awesome. Okay, go ahead. Oh, I think this. Okay, great. Why do I keep hearing myself? Good. So if I didn't dip my hand in your mouth, you probably won't tell me this. Do you get? And for me, this is one of the biggest assets you have. So it's advisable at the point of introduction. My name is Rashid, blah, 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 blah. I'm a graduate of blah, 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 blah. After school, I took the initiative to develop myself because I know my hunger and passion for this accounting field. I currently tutor. I took the ATS exam, and I currently tutor at so and so place. Do you understand those kind of key things that people will not ideally is not on your CV? Because if you start putting all this in your CV will be like 20 or 30 pages. Do you get? So very importantly, you bring it out. Let them know that okay, Rashid is not just it's not like every other person that just sends CV. There's something about Rashid that is working well for him. Do you understand? So at your introduction level, bring that in because it's very key. I think it's something that you missed out. And I think everybody has this too. It doesn't have to be ATS. It doesn't have to be all that. On concern accounting, it doesn't matter because it's an entry level role, and the same thing applies to entry level role. Nobody expects you to have the experience because you don't have it. But what everybody expects you to do is to be able to articulate skills or things you have done that can fit into the organization. For example, what that means for me when I hear this kind of thing that you've done ATS is means that one, you are taking the conscious efforts to develop yourself. Let me tell you, I know people who have been in accounting for 10 years. These are people I've worked with, and I've not written a single paper. I'm not saying these are not old men. They are younger. They come with all the excuses, no money, all those kind of funny excuses. So you being able to have done that means that, okay, this guy has, has put in the effort to develop himself. So it's a big plus for you. So please, next time when you are doing your introduction, look for those kind of things you've done that you think can show. Because some of the things they will put when they are looking for entry level, they look for people who are self-starters, smart people, some keywords. So those are ways you can easily sell yourself. So going forward, any interview you go, it must be part of your introductory process. Very, very important. All right. So Idris, next one.
Okay, so back to the earlier question I asked. Accounting standards. Why do you think we need accounting standards, and why do we need to implement them in the preparation of financial statements?
Okay. Accounting standard. First of all, the need for accounting standard is to be able to have a regulatory body, to be able to have a standard that regulates all accounting operations, to ensure the basic characteristics of the financial information, especially the comparability aspect, to ensure that, okay, financial information presented are faithfully represented, to ensure that information presented are very relevant to user's decision, and to ensure all other enhancing qualities in terms of understandability, the comparability, timeliness, and verifiability. All these are the necessary things which brought about the inception of the art of bringing up an accounting standard. And since I'm applying for this for your organization, I want to believe that the accounting standard relevant to your organization is regulated by the International Financial Reporting Standard, the IFRS. And as one who has undergone technical expertise, I'm very sure that I will be capable of increasing my contribution in your organization with regards to this.
Good answer. Remember, you are part of it. So if it's good to mention the company name, it's better. Don't say your, because it will help you. Just mention the company name. Okay, yeah, it's also limited, or it's not much. It's not a big deal, but sometimes those kind of words show how hungry you are to go in. Because remember, you're selling yourself that I am already inside this place. You just give me a chance to come in and do my magic and all that. So, but that's a good answer. At least you are able to talk about, you understand what accounting standards are and why you think it should be applied. There's no right or wrong answer. the test, when they ask you those kind of questions, they want to see whether you even understand what accounting standards are. Then how can you think on your feet when somebody asks you a question? Do you just blab, well, accounting standard is accounting standard because it's accounting standard? Or you're able to mention something. So it's a good answer. So Idris, over to you.
Okay, so it's actually good that you displayed your technical competence in the area that I asked earlier. So my next question is regarding your soft skills. So what soft skills do you possess that you think can actually make you thrive in the role you've applied for? Or if this particular organization takes you in, what soft skills do you possess that you think would make you actually be competent on the job that you'd be given? Can you hear me?
Yeah, very much I can hear you. If you're asking me about my soft skill, to describe myself, anyway, I can say I am very productive. I have this energy and I'm self-motivated. Of course, I relate with people very, very well. So I can be very sure that in whatever team I am, I will definitely be productive. And I have these negotiability skills. I have these technical competencies and ability to express myself. Of course, I'm a good orator. And also, I can work with less supervision. I don't need to be told what to be done before I can do my job. These are part of what makes me.
Can you give examples? So, for example, maybe you're talking about your soft skills. So give us a typical scenario. So it's just a good thing to also do when you're talking about maybe things like your soft skills and co. Can you talk about, okay, maybe, for example, in my particular place, I mentor people, I teach people, you already have, you as a person, you already have something that I can tell you that is your biggest entry into anywhere you want to achieve, and that's that ATS thing you're teaching people. You don't have to mention that you pay. Let them be the one to ask that you are paid for it. Then you cannot say you are paid for it. Don't have to mention it until they ask. But if I were in your shoes, I would overflog that thing like that. For example, currently where I take ATS students, I manage an average of maybe 40 to 50, and part of it is there's one-on-one engagement. Those kind of, you flog it so as you can tailor it towards, because you don't have real work experience to use as example, but what you're doing already is a good one to use as an example. So you answered it, yes, it's fine. But I think for me, I will flog it more, like use that one to the best possible way that almost this particular edge that I have. Because remember, you're not the only one being interviewed, and most people also have probably what you have. As you are teaching ATS, somebody is probably teaching secondary school. Somebody is even teaching ICANN. You are still not done. Somebody is already even done. So you have all those kind of people that are already competing with, in this scenario. So the question that should be at the back of your mind is, what can I use to always point these people in the direction that this is my edge? And with that, look for it. You already have one, which is the ATS thing. Push it to any limit. I've been doing it even before you finished. One of the things about you is even while in school, you are able to manage people. You led teams. You are able to encourage people. Even while you're in NYSC, you are in a school. You are able to organize. Those kind of little chips. It gives you the edge. Take it from me anytime, any day. Yeah, people may ask you questions away, but I can assure you, once they hear those things, from my experience, okay, this guy is hungry. This guy is good. The only worry then is, will this guy stay for hiring? And that one is a different conversation entirely. You can't deal with that now. Those ones are for later sessions. But the most important thing is right now you must win. And the only way you can win is you're selling what you have as your best product. And those are some of the things I think you're best. It's not your degree. Believe me, it's not your degree, not your, but that thing that you have that not every other person has in the terms of people applying. So try to flog it as much as possible during an interview session.
All right, let me try again then.
All right, Idris.
Yes, he has questions for us. Do you have any question that you'd like to ask?
Oh, yes, thank you. I have just 3 questions, please. Okay. The first, I would like to know what you need me to concentrate on in my first early periods of employment. Let's say the first 30 days. What would you like me to concentrate on in my employment? And secondly, I would like to know what are the shortfalls of previous employees in this same role. And lastly, I would like to know how the position has evolved over the years.
Okay, that's in fact you have asked questions that are very genuine and right. Have you been getting interview invites?
I've not been getting invites.
I'm very sure it's your CV that's your problem. I'm very sure it's your CV. And like I said earlier, you need to tailor your CV. Do you understand? Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Good. So maybe what we'll do, maybe reach out to maybe Idris or Sheon after this. Let's have a conversation on what help we can do. Because right now you don't have any work experience, right?
Exactly.
Good.
I only have administrative experience.
You have what?
Administrative experience, not relating to accountants.
No problem. After this, just reach out. Then let's see what we can do. Just remind me or remind them. We'll see what we can do. We'll discuss a way around this. We'll discuss. There's a quick hack that we can do to get you something. I'm not guaranteeing you a job, but at least it will help you get more invites and put you in position that you can easily get a job. All right, thanks.
Okay, I think we'll be having Mr. Kudus next. Mr. Kudus, are you ready for us?
Yeah, I am. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, so
Is it being interviewed or is interviewing us?
Apologies for that. I just had to request that I am interviewed because I feel like George has been doing a very wonderful job ever since, and I've listened to quite a number of I've been here at the beginning, and I feel like there is a need for, at least to a reasonable extent, some of the people that are here to have a feel of what a competitive candidate will look like when you are interviewing. And I feel like one way or the other, if I'm able to at least demonstrate how I've actually been going for my own interview and stuff, to be a nice stuff, I can also share some tips around how I've always been doing my interview and what to do. So yeah, I'm ready.
I'll be starting with you before Mr. George takes over. Okay, so since you are more of an experienced personnel now, so I wouldn't be asking you about yourself, so I will be going straight into the aspects now. So my
Idris, do the same thing. Sorry, Idris, ask him about himself because people need to learn.
Okay, sir. Okay, let's meet you.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to meet and chat with you in respect to the finance manager role at Google. My name is Balogun Kudus Adebowale. I am a young finance manager with a long-term goal of being a CFO with global impact. In order to do this, I've always ensured to take my academics serious, as well as contributing to our fellow colleagues in terms of supporting people in respect to how to grow professionally in the field of accounting. Over the years, I currently have up to 6 years of experience, and while starting my career, I started with Oladile Olule and Co., where I work hand in hand with the managing partner of the audit firm. While I was doing this, I gained exposure into how internal and external audits work, how accounting preparation work, and also it gives me the leverage to experience some of the practical things I learned way back from school. Subsequently, in 2017, I started my professional ICANN program, and this helped me to increase my technical skills around accounting, as well as business management skills, as well as strategic financial management. All of these, which I believe will be useful for this role. Currently, I'm at ULesson, where I work as the finance manager at ULesson. While working as the finance manager at ULesson, I currently oversee the company's accounting function in terms of preparation of financial reporting. I manage the company's corporate and financial reporting, risk management, business operation, finance operation, as well as tax and regulatory compliance. Last year, the company raised a Series B fundraising of $15 million, and I was a key stakeholder in doing this, where I prepared the company's 5 years financial forecast. Also, I managed the company's due diligence with KPMG China, KPMG Nigeria, PwC Nigeria, EY Nigeria, to mention but few. Among other things, over the years, I've tried as much as possible to improve my thinking capability skills, as well as my strategic thinking skills, because I believe that as an accountant, I'm not just a number cruncher. And because of this, I've also attended trainings on entrepreneurship. In fact, recently, I attended a training with Faith Foundation. Faith Foundation is one of the biggest enterprise development center in Nigeria here. At the same time, in order to improve my team building skills, I've invested over 15 hours in training. I've taken courses with Coursera, Udemy, and of course, I leverage LinkedIn Learning as well to improve my collaboration skills. I believe this current role that I'm applying for, okay, yes, you can. Okay, so I believe this current role that I'm applying for will avail me the next form of growth that I need in my professional career, because looking at the job description, I can see that there is a lot of opportunity for growth, most especially in the area where of IFRS 16 application. Currently, I have the theoretical knowledge of IFRS 16, but then I've not been so privileged to experience how it works practically. And I believe joining this great firm will expose me with an international platform to continue to increase my skills and also grow to become a CFO that creates and sells values with global impact. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And I think very importantly, you would see there's a difference between entry-level interview session and experience session. Now, based on the introduction, he has already demonstrated some key basic things that they'll be asking at entry level. Okay, tell us about your IFRS, tell us about this. At this level, I don't expect to be asking IFRS 15 or whatever. I don't care, because based on what he has said, he has done, he has shown that he has the skill set, the experience, and the knowledge to handle those things. So it sorts that beginner's questioning line. Oh, okay, asking this. So the next question, which most likely would be now to bring it to the real leadership skills and leadership knowledge. One, which typically will be one, for example, is the line of questioning will now be tailored towards scenario analysis. So, for example, the next question I will go is maybe drill down into some of the things that have been mentioned. Okay, you said you are involved, especially tied to the job description or job requirement. So, for example, the case we are using here is Google. One of the common things about Google is maybe dealing with fundraise regularly, dealing with venture capitalists, whatever. So maybe one of the things we are trying to do as a company at that moment is trying to go for fundraising. So the question I'll probably be asking is around that fundraising. Okay, tell me a little bit about your experience in terms of fundraise. What were your key roles? You also mentioned something around due diligence. So tell us a bit about the due diligence exercise. What do you understand? What was your key role in the due diligence exercise? So I'm not going to be asking, oh, do you understand IFRS 15? No, because he has demonstrated that he is way above that based on the education and his explanation of he has applied it. So he has gone beyond that level. So at this point, I'm now trying to see.
Okay, sorry, please, before I answer, please, can I just give a brief summary of what I've just done in respect to how I come about this? Because I actually did not prepare for this interview in any way. But then I think I have a template that I always use in order to, tell us about yourself, introduction, and any form of stuff. Because if anybody looks at the way Mr. George has handled this, he just stopped and said that he's not going to be asking me questions on IFRS 15 or anything again. This is also something you can achieve as an entry level. And this is some of the things that I've always done to always turn the interview. He has mentioned it severally, that make the interview something that they will keep asking you things that you know, and not they'll be bombarding you about things that you don't know. So what I've actually done is to introduce myself in such a way that he will be interested in asking more about me and what I have done in the past, rather than asking more about what he thinks I need to know. And so this is what I've done, right? As much as possible, when you are told to introduce yourself, there are steps I've always used. So one of the steps is that I always tell them that, okay, this is my name, and probably this is my job function at wherever I work, or my name is Balom Kudus, I'm a chartered accountant. Then the next thing is I tell them my long-term goal. So I've coined a long-term goal for myself to be a young chief financial officer that creates and sells values with global impact. That is, my long-term goal is to work in a big or in a multinational as a CFO, right? Because, so that's one. Subsequently, I refer back to my previous activities that I've done. So in this case, because of the role that I'm applying for, I refer back to my experience. As an entry level, the expectation is that you refer, just like Mr. George has earlier said as well, you refer back to what you have done during your school days. The same way I've actually done my introduction for an experienced IRO is also the same way I will have done for my entry level, because I will have said that, okay, I have a long-term goal to become this and that. And in order to achieve this, I've always taken my academics serious. In fact, I graduated with first class, so grade. Not only that, while I was in school, I was contributing to departmental and other extracurricular activities. In fact, I was the PRO of social club and social stuff. You know, all of these things help me. So what I do is, number one is, my name, of course, and then my long-term goal. Then the next thing is I tell them my backstory. Your backstory should be able to review your experience, your achievements, and your education, and perhaps any other things that you find interesting around your skill sets. You shouldn't be listing your skill sets. Mr. George was correcting Mr. Rashid earlier on around that stuff about your skill set. He said you should give example. One of two things I always do about my skill set when I'm communicating them is that either I tell you that I took a course, that is, I'm telling you the source of my skill set, or I tell you where I got the skill set from in respect to workplace. And that is why I first mentioned the first place that I work, talking about working hand in hand with managing partner of an audit firm and got exposed to both internal and external audits. You know, that means that Mr. George will not ask me about those things again. Or even if he's going to ask me, he's just going to ask me on a personal level, just like the last question he asked. That was one. So probably your name, your goal, then your backstory. Your backstory will usually include your experience, if you have experience, achievement, if you have any significant achievement, your education, and your skill set. Use storytelling. Don't list one by one. Use storytelling. Tell a story. It will flow because it is your story. Like Mr. Rashid was talking about his ICANN experience, tutoring, and all of those things. It is your story. It will flow if you tell a story rather than listing. Listing gives issues, but if you tell a story, it will flow. Then the next thing that I did was to say that the company, I actually know about the company. I've researched about the company, and this is my next stop. I'm telling them that this is where I want to be next, because I've read through the job description. One of the things in the job description, I know it, but I've not been privileged to exhibit or to play around it practically. So you have to also tell them during the interview that this is why I am here. So after telling your story, tell them this is why you are here. Why are you here? No matter what, regardless of where you are applying to, you will have a reason why you are applying there. Let them have a feel. Probably as an entry level, you are applying to a Big Four. Let them know that you are currently interviewing because Big Four is one of the best places you can start your career as an entry level accountant. Because of the kind of international trainings that you will get and stuff like that. Then the last thing is, of course, to also appreciate them one way or the other. And that's what I've done. In everything you are doing, let everything be your story, so that the kind of question that Mr. George asked me is the kind of question that anybody will ask you. Because you have told your story, they will always be interested in clarifying that, okay, you said you have done this. Tell us more about how you have done it. So, which is what I will do now, right? So, the question that I'm being asked is that I said I have experience in due diligence exercise, that I should tell what the role I played during the due diligence part. Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful question, sir. Thank you very much. So during the last due diligence of the company, I was the one that managed the financial forecast preparation for the company in terms of 5 years financial forecast of the company, trying to set a strategic direction for the company, as well as preparing the board deck that was used for the pitch competition, as well as working hand in hand with other vice presidents of the other departments, including the product and tech, the content and curriculum department, the sales and marketing, to mention but few, to get necessary information needed as part of the strategic direction of the company. I was also involved in the due diligence exercise, just like I've said. I was the one that worked directly hand in hand with the practitioners from KPMG China, preparing the company's first time consolidated financial statements, including the company's group, the company's ultimate parent company from the United States. Also, I worked responding to queries from the KPMG China practitioners, as well as the KPMG Nigeria. Of course, I oversaw the tax due diligence that was carried out by the KPMG Nigeria, ensuring that the company's the statutory compliance of the company is at par with the requirements of the due diligence. Also, I worked directly with Aluko and Oyebode of Nigeria here to manage the company's legal due diligence. Of course, as being the one who led the audit. In fact, during the first phase of the due diligence, the vice president of finance went on leave, and I was able to manage the team and coordinate everything to ensure that it was a success. Thank you.
Okay, great answer. So, for people listening, if you pick out, I think the first response he gave was very perfect, which is the fact that, look, it's your story. People make that mistake and they don't realize it. It's your story. If you are telling your story, it's easy. It's like toasting a babe for the guys. Like, if you are telling it, it's easier than when you go and borrow script from somebody that is saying, say this when you get there. So that's very important. So based on this other response now, which has been given, is very straightforward, which he still follows with the first thing he has said. It's his story. So if you are telling your story, you are not lying, you are not cooking. So it flows because, you did this due diligence. What did you do? I asked, what did you do about due diligence? And it was straightforward. Preparation of the financial forecast. Getting involved in the financial statements and all that. So it's straightforward to be able to say that. So for me as an interviewer, I know, okay, he knows what he's talking about. Because for me to talk about due diligence, there must have been a financial forecast that must have been submitted. So which is a very good thing. Okay, good. That means he understands the skill set required to handle a financial forecast. So then most likely my next level question will be, which is what is also common, is maybe what's the size of the team you managed? Because now he has told me what will probably be my next question. So maybe if I had said, okay, I was involved in the financial forecast. Next thing I'll probably probe further to say, what did you do in the financial forecast? But he went ahead to explain all the external parties that I also liaised with during the process in terms of Alukoyebode and all those other guys, because I know, okay, Alukoyebode is legal, so they might have been involved in the legal part of the due diligence. Then the KPMGs and who might have been involved in the accounting or financial side of the due diligence. So automatically, he doesn't need to tell me, oh, when I did one figure, I did a P&L in it. But no, I already know, okay, he's not just telling me stories. He knows what he's talking about. So my next level will probably now say, okay, I've been able to understand his technical ability, some of the things he has already done. The next thing will most likely would be to see the softer side. Okay, has he ever led a team? Because in my organization, we're trying to manage, we are involved in team management. So I want to know, is this something that I can manage a team? So most likely my next question will be tailored around that to say, oh, okay, what is the size of your current team, or what's the largest team you've ever managed? Which is my next question. What's the size of the largest team you've ever managed?
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful questions once again. So currently, where I work, I manage a team of 5 individuals, ranging from a finance manager, a senior accountant, a financial analyst, and other apprentice. Aside from the fact that I work directly where I currently work, I work with a team of 5. Aside from that, I have always ensured to earn my leadership skills. And currently, I have a career development platform where I manage a team of over 80 individuals. And of recent, I rolled out a mentorship program for fellow accountants to groom other accountants to become professional accountants, where over there as well, I manage a team of 50 individuals. Aside from this, I currently am a co-partner or co-admin in one of the accounting world group in terms of helping fellow accountants. In this particular forum, I am a co-admin, and in this particular forum, I manage over 500 professionals in the field of accounting. So yeah, and of course, over the period, I've invested a number of time in terms of, at least so far between January and this date, I've invested over 30 hours in improving and owning my leadership skills. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that's another key thing that you can pick up there. What I'm looking for, I'm not just asking him to know the size of the team to tell me I have 5 people working for me. I don't care. But what I'm looking for is, okay, does he have the skill set or the ability to manage people and lead people? And he has just is demonstrated by telling me the size of his team and the particular role function. So I know he's managing a senior accountant, he's managing a manager and a junior. So that means he's not just managing people of a certain grade. He's managing people who are even more experienced. So, okay, it means that this guy is already on his way to the next higher level leadership position. And also he's now gone further to also let me know his story that, hey, I've also managed people outside my work environment, which shows, oh, okay, good. When you're now asking questions in terms of leadership for me, I automatically know I don't need to go too far because already has the skill set and everything that's required. So if you get it there, what's one of the key things that you can pick out of this is don't just stay with what you've done or your company and think that's the end of it, which is what I was trying to tell the guy earlier, that look, flog whatever your strength is. Don't forget, you are in a competition with other people, and the other people are not going to be nice to you. They're going to come in with their best foot forward and things that, they've done that you are looking at. Maybe for example, you are in school, you volunteered for just one project, to just do something in your head. Maybe is it just not to do the volunteer, to be carrying chair? No, it's not about carrying chair. It's about what value have you done. So he has already demonstrated that, look, I'm going beyond just my 9 to 5. I am trying to make an industry impact, which anybody who understands is that, wow, this guy is actually, thinking big. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the company. It's about the whole process. It's about the whole industry's mentorship. That means one day if he becomes the leader or the CFO, he can mentor. So you can now see that everything is sort of piecing together. He says his goal is to be a CFO. And the first question is, if I'm interviewing as a CFO, I'm asking, okay, he wants to be a CFO. Does he even know what makes a CFO? Does he think it's just about doing accounting and posting books? But no, he's been able to demonstrate that, hey, I understand what it takes to be a CFO. It's not just the academic side, it's not just the IFRS technical ability, it's ability to lead people, and not just even within the organization, ability to think long term. Because if I'm helping people in the finance industry, I realize that at some point in the near future, some of these guys that I'm coaching and mentoring might end up being the people that will replace me in my organization when I move higher. So do I want to now get to that point and start teaching them what debits and credits are and those kind of things? So you can understand that it's all a story at the end of the day. Like I mentioned earlier, interviewers are not interviewing you to come and kill you. They want to get to meet you. And that's why I even mentioned my own example. When I ask questions in interview, if I'm asking one or two questions and I see that I'm getting generic answer, naturally I break it down. Okay, tell me about your girlfriend. Tell me about the last time you went for a party. When I start to ask those questions, I'm trying to break the script you came from home with, that you already been looking in the mirror every day. When they ask me this, I'll say that. When they ask me that, I'll say that. Because I don't want a script person that when he joins the organization, he will struggle to be able to now fit in, because all you've done was prepare for the interview. Post-interview, you did not prepare. You don't know what's there. But in this way, he has been able to demonstrate to me that, okay, it goes beyond, above and beyond what it does. So I don't even need to ask him, do you work late? I don't need to ask him, do you do anything in form of self-development? Because he's already been able to tell me upfront by telling his story, by telling me what he has done, by telling me in terms of association he's part of, by telling me in terms of, I don't even need to even ask him that, come on, when you're stuck, how do you get knowledge? How do you find a solution to problem? Because he's already told me that he's part of groups and forums, and everybody who has experience understands that when you're part of group and forum, it means you have a network. And the beauty of network is it's not just people you go and party with. It's people that, hey guys, I'm stuck. Oh, I need help with this. Does anybody in here have experience doing this? And they will most likely easily respond to you, okay, yes, so in my former organization, we are doing this. Or, oh, I know somebody who works. And so from interviewing him, I already know, okay, this guy has a network, which is going to be useful to him if he's stuck. I know he's been involved in certain tasks, which are some of the things we will be dealing with in terms of our organization. So I already have a fair idea. So the next thing from this point, most likely, if I'm going to be interviewing him, is why do you want to leave your current organization? So that's my next question, because I've already gotten the answer to my technical bit. And now I want to know, why do you want to change jobs?
Wow, I think that's one of the toughest questions that anybody can miss out in an interview, right? Yeah. But then I feel, but then I think I'm very much ready. Okay, so in terms of leaving my current organization, I feel like I've contributed a number of values, and I've grown, and I feel like there is a need for me to increase my capacity now. So over the period, I've learned several skills, including taking the FMVA financial analyst course, and as well as like one of those key things that I feel like I want to improve on now is my forecasting and business valuation skills, of which my current company, what I currently manage for them is their finance function, basically. And I know that if I'm joining a company like Google, I'll be exposed to international and global wide activities around financial forecasting, just like the job requirement says. I have the knowledge. I'm just looking for the platform to exhibit those knowledge. And my current company, in fact, has helped me grown up to this stage. It has helped me grown. It has exposed me to a number of things, and which I also believe will help in this current role that I'm applying for, right? But the main reason why I actually want to leave is because I'm looking for platform. So I have a long-term goal, just like I have said, and I believe that this is the right time for me to move, because I've just currently I just completed a 50 hours training program with Corporate Finance Institute, which is on financial modeling and valuation of business. And I feel like the earlier I practice these things, the more I become better. And I feel like, just like I've mentioned earlier on as well, my current company do not have that platform for me to exhibit some of these skills. So I feel it is the right time for me to grow. And this is the next thing on my career plan. Thank you.
Great answer. So picking out something here that people also need to take notes. I've seen people come to interview and tell me how bad their company is. Rule of life: never, ever, ever speak bad about where you work, even if it's the worst organization in the world. Never, ever, because it's not a good response to why you want to leave. First of all, you'll be telling them that your mouth is not good everywhere you go. If you have a small problem, you go and expose them. So never, ever do that. So if you pick out what the response has been, the response has been room for development. So most times when people ask you, why do you want to leave your organization? Of course, they want to hire you because they've checked your CV. They feel that, okay, there are some things in there. Then when they've asked you questions, they've been able to get some of the answers they want. So, but what they are being careful for is this. Is it that this guy had problem where he's coming from? And most organizations know that it's unethical, which they won't do it is they will now go and call your boss. Say, come, this person is doing interview with us. He wants to leave. Some people do it, don't get me wrong. Some very unprofessional organizations, they will call people in your organization. But I can assure you, it's just that because we don't have a good legal system, or people don't know how to go about it in Nigeria, you can actually sue them because he has breached that confidentiality between you and the company being interviewed for. So, but in the absence of that, the first thing here is he has told you a story. You've heard the whole story from the beginning. You feel, this guy is okay now. So what exactly is chasing him? Now, 9 out of 10 times, let me be honest with you, when people interview, like me, when I'm interviewing for roles, if I see your CV, I look at the organization you come from. Most likely, I will know somebody there or know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So most likely, I'll have a fair idea. But professionally, like I said, even people have reached out to me when my staff is doing interview in places. Even some of my work staff, and this is just me, I will never speak bad about them. I will never, not for any reason. Because the rule is you may be bad working with me, but and get to the other side and be the best, because it could be the environment or whatever that brought out the worst in you. By the time you go to a different place, that environment may bring out the best in you. Now, it doesn't mean that in your current organization you should be a bad person and do bad things. But the bottom line there is this. I'm trying to understand, is it driven by money? Because in his words, he may not say it's money. That's the truth. But some people make the mistake, they pay us small. The pay is not good enough. There's no room for development. There's no room for growth. Some interviewers are always careful. For example, it depends on your background as a person. For someone like me and a lot of other people, we've developed ourselves. Nobody paid for my icon. I paid for myself. Nobody paid for my private courses. Like he also just mentioned, he did the FMVA, financial modeling, analysis or whatever. He probably paid for himself. So when you are talking to such a person, the person is interviewing you and you are saying they are not paying for your training, it will be strange to the person because he knows, come. I train myself, so what's the big deal if the company doesn't train you? If you're hungry enough for growth and success, you put hand in your pocket and pay for those exams. And you paying for it means that you'll be committed to passing it. So the company not paying for you to develop yourself is not an excuse for you not to develop yourself. So for someone like me, when I start seeing people giving me those kind of answers, it's a no. I don't want to hear that story that they didn't pay for you. That's why you didn't train yourself. It shows that you are not hungry enough for success. But in this case, he has demonstrated that, okay, I've done certain courses, I've done trainings, I've acquired certain skills. But because my current organization, there are certain opportunities which are not there. Not because it's a bad company, but because I'm looking at a bigger picture. And my organization is not in that bigger picture. It's a good organization. It's giving me the best at this point in time. But my goal is to work in an international organization that has done this thing across multiple countries, multiple continents. So I'm looking at a place whereby, for example, he has done due diligence. What kind of due diligence has he done? He probably has done due diligence of a venture capitalist investment, but he probably has never done a merger and acquisition due diligence before. He may never have done a multi-investor type due diligence whereby you have a bigger syndicate. Maybe he has gotten only experience with just a single investor. He's not having a single lead investor with smaller investors. But you want something across, maybe an IPO, for example. You want an organization that has been involved in IPO. So he has been able to demonstrate that, look, where I am very good. I am okay. But I do not want to be a local champion. I want to expand my horizon. I'm hungry for more knowledge. So an organization like Google will look at it, okay, good. Yes, he's been able to, even though he was given little, he's been able to do very well with the little he has done because he has achieved what he needs to achieve in that organization. He didn't say, oh, okay, because it's a small organization, I won't do well, I'll be looking for that one. But he's been able to show us that, look, I have demonstrated that I can do this in my organization. I have paid my dues. It's now time for me to move to a bigger field. So it was specific. It wasn't like, because Google is an international company, or they pay more. My company, they don't treat people well. The fact they sack every time. My boss never listens to me. Sometimes I try to bring idea, but because the organizations, they don't listen to my suggestion, it's not helpful. No, he wasn't saying all that. There was no negativity in the vibe. So any boss that works with him will understand, okay, even if this guy is having a bad time with me, I'm not going to hear it outside in the world. It's not going to say anything. He understands what professionalism and confidentiality means. So at this level, the next thing I'll probably now be asking at the interview is, most likely me, or most likely will be HR, will be, okay, what are your pay expectations? So what are you looking at in terms of pay? Can you hear me?
Okay. So you are asking me what I'm looking at in terms of pay, right?
Yes.
Well, in terms of pay, I want to believe that, of course, Google is a global firm, and I believe that there's definitely standards to all of these things in terms of pay. So what I would actually like to know is from the company standard and policy. I think whatever the company is offering for this particular role, you can always bring it forward, and if it is fine by me, I say. If otherwise, I think we can negotiate. Thank you.
Okay, great answer. So another point to pick up from that is, because sometimes some people want to force you to call money. As much as possible, don't lock yourself into a figure, because you don't know how much they pay. I've seen somebody who was earning 150K lock himself into 300K, and was almost locking himself in anyway until the person reached out to me. And fortunately, I know the HR there, and I asked, and the role was 800K. The budget was 800 to 1 million. The person had the skill, they liked the guy, but the guy's current salary is 150K. And in his head, 300, 350 looks like big money now if I can collect double my salary. Meanwhile, the budget was between 800 to 1 million. The advice is, most often than not, if possible, because in some cases it's not possible, if possible, try to do a research around what they pay. If you can get the information, try as much as possible as you can. But if you cannot, it's not a problem. Don't lock yourself in. And don't say, because, I'm collecting 150K, 200K is the next big thing. If I ask for 250, they won't take me. Rule number one for recruitment, forget money. No matter how much you earn, if the organization likes you, believe me, they will have that conversation with you. Even if what you're asking for is too much. I've been in that situation many times. Even if you're asking for 1 billion, that they know they can't pay it, if they like you and they believe in you, they will call you back. And they will put the cards on the table for you that, look, this is what we are offering. This is how much you can pay. This is where we can go. Then you can have that negotiation and have that conversation based on reasonable. But don't be afraid to ask. I tell people, if you ask me for 1 billion, if it's 50K I want to pay you, I will still put it on the table. The first thing is, make sure they like you. Win the game. That's the rule for me. Make sure you win. Once you win, then the prize money is secondary. That one, you can always negotiate the prize money. So very importantly, if you look at it, he pushed back in the sense that he didn't want to call a figure, because if you call a figure, believe me, you have locked yourself in. Because, for example, you call like I said, you call 300K. Meanwhile, somebody now tells you later, oh, more is 800K they want to pay you. You can't go back and say, sorry, I changed my mind, it's 800K. They will like, come. You are showing that you are inconsistent with what you are doing. So as much as possible, avoid locking yourself into a figure. Some will say, okay, give us. Then there's a normal scam people use. Sorry, there's a normal scam people use. They will say, if you don't give us, we need to know your bulk figure, so we know that we don't waste each other's time. It's fine. You can call a figure, take it from me. But the most important thing is, if you have won up to that part, forget HR. HR's own is to talk money, to bobo you and harass you. But I can assure you, your focus in that interview session is the finance guy, the most finance person in there that can take the decision. As long as that person likes you, forget HR. I've been there so many times. I've been interviewed like that, and I've interviewed people. I've seen where HR is telling me salary structure, and I thought that it doesn't make sense. When I have solution, you're telling me salary structure because it's earning a certain amount. So for me, that's my advice and my tip to that. You wanted to say something, Kudus?
Yeah, so in case they push back, so I've made a mistake as well, just like Oga George has said here. I've made a mistake, and one of the mistakes that I've made is, and this is for guys out there, like, you shouldn't make this mistake, most especially to startups. A number of startup and HR, like he said, there are a lot of boboing and all of those things. So I've been asked before, so what is the least salary that you want? And I think this is one of the things that always, when you hear the word list, you are tempted to actually think that list and not your best foot forward. Okay, so let's now say he has asked me, he has pushed back that, bro, okay, give us a figure. A company like Google, if you go online, you, like he has mentioned, research. And in my mind, I'm already like, okay, if you insist that I give a figure, given my experience and qualification and exposure, of course, inclusive of network and what I'm bringing to the table, I think we can start with between $7,000 to $10,000 net per month. Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah, so what do you have to say? And so when you push back, like you said, you give a range, and that is what I just did. You push back with a range, and don't fall for the list. When you are asked to tell them the list, just tell them your best. When they ask for the list, just give them your best, because the list. But I say if the list, and you say okay, the list. Okay, you can pay me $2,000. And of course, you just said the list because you wanted the job, of which the budget for the job is somewhere between $9,500 and $10,000, right? That means you have locked yourself, and he has warned, don't lock yourself up. So as much as possible, just always do your research and give your best shot. So in this particular interview scenario, if he push back to me and say, so what are you looking at? What I would just, like, I know what Google will pay a typical finance manager or a typical senior finance manager or senior accountant. I've checked online. Glassdoor is there. Indeed is there. A number of other platforms are there. I've checked. So I can always just, okay, given my so and so that I'm bringing to the table, I think we can look at negotiating between the range of $7,000 and $10,000 per month, and of course that's the net figure. Thank you.
Great. So I think it's very straightforward. It's very, very straightforward. So you need to understand based on that. So the reality is there's no same two interviews that are the same. It's just your ability to. For me, what I always focus on, and I tell people, is win the game first. Just make sure the most important person in that room likes you, which is the finance guy who is wearing the shoe that is paying him, that is recruiting somebody. HR is secondary. Take it from me. They will come, oh, there's a budget. It will mess up our company structure. I've seen negotiations where you pay people way more than even the budget. It happens all the time. It's all about understanding that, man, this person is going to come and solve my problem. I've had a situation where you go to CEO and argue that, no, this is the solution. I cannot take anybody less than this guy. And that's it. HR will complain, but at the end of the day, it's a negotiation. And like I said, look, it's not a do or die thing. You are offering your service. Don't sell yourself too short. Because what is going to happen, let me tell you, I've been there before. Me too, I've negotiated the job that I thought, I was superstar. I went in. A friend of mine was always telling me that, oh boy, if you see the pay they are paying experts that were on the same cadre, the pay they are paying them, the day you will see, you'll be depressed. I said, no, me, I don't look at other people's money. And honestly speaking, that's the first time in my whole career that I was depressed for when I saw salary. On people that were on the same level, the lowest person next to me was earning 4 times what I was earning. I'm not joking. 4 times with benefits, like official car, everything. I lost it that day. Like, for what? Who is this? So it will pain you. Forget it. We're all human beings. You might feel that, okay. And what will now happen is you start looking for another job. And like one mentor once told me that, look, you can't just be jumping ship every time you are not happy with something. Do you get? So you must have a plan, you must have a strategy towards it. So I think based on what we've said so far, maybe the last question would be, do you have any question for me so that we can?
Well, if it is a proper interview, I will not wait till the last till when I'm asked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if it's an interview, you shouldn't wait till, like, it is not something
Exactly.
you should be entertaining. Don't wait till you are asked, do you have any question for me? Like, at any point in time, they want to employ somebody that is curious about what they
Exactly.
do and stuff. Like, so I'll just give you a typical, like, do you have any question? I think this is like, which will be very longer than even what the HR will be thinking. So, do you have any question? Yeah. I've used a number of Google products, and I'm very familiar with Google Meet. I've used Google Meet a number of times, and I have friends that use Google Meet as well. And one of the things that I've heard is that there is no way you can record on Google Meet. And in fact, a number of people struggle to record on Google Meet, unlike Zoom and other competitors. So I don't know, has the company thought of anything around that? And what's the company currently doing on that?
Great.
So that's the question. And you see, that's a question that shows that you have researched into the company.
That's all.
Like, so let me just give a real life scenario about my where I currently work. When I was asked that kind of, do you have any question? Before I got to the interview, I've gone to check the company's app. I've gone to the company's website. I've looked at what the company does. And the next thing is that I was like, so when I was registering inside your app, I made a mistake, but I discovered that I can't go back to edit it. I don't know. Is that anything you are looking for in respect to that? And then the next thing, even the HR was the one that was like, okay, we'll involve our engineering team and stuff like that. You already have 1+. Like, you're already proving that you're a problem solver.
Exactly.
Like, you already have one point. And then the next thing, okay, so what other things do you have? Okay, I'm like, okay, so I looked at the company's current product offering. I don't know if the company have thought of this particular subject and this particular subject, considering the fact that even in the secondary school level, this particular size of people are actually more than what the company is currently targeting. I don't know if the company is currently consider arts and commercial, serving arts and commercial students. I think this will boost the company's revenue. You know, when I had that, and the next thing is, that the HR was like, this is a CEO's answer question.
Yeah.
And it put them off like, wow, what kind of question is this one? And I'm not even asking about what do you have to offer me or anything. Like, bro, I'm focusing on what you have a problem that I've observed. What are you trying to do in respect to solve them? And the HR person was like, we are just focusing on science for now. I'm not so, like the CEO, we have a plan. And before you know it, even them, they show the human side of them, trying to convince you that, bro, we too, we also have values and stuff. And that's when the game becomes sweeter. And in terms of my own interview process, I think I usually bring this in the middle of the interview. Like, so the culture that I've observed with interview these days is that when you get to an interview, they tend to tell you about the company a little bit. Probably things that are like they feel like, let us tell you about the company. So the company is so stuff. And immediately they tell you about the company, right? You bring things up, like the things that you've researched about the company, and you think on your feet. So they've said that, so currently Google, for example, have a variety of products, and you know that Apple and some of the other competitors, right? And you're like, okay, so I understand that Google is Google has a number of products, including the Google Meet and the Google Suite and what have you. I don't know if Google is currently considering, because the next big thing are becoming the AR, augmented reality. I don't know if Google is currently like the way the Meta is currently working and stuff. And I want to believe that this is actually the future. So I don't know if Google is doing anything around any project around augmented reality and extended reality. When you ask this kind of questions, they know that you're already thinking the company. I don't know, you're already thinking the company. You're not thinking yourself again. You're already thinking like part of the players within the company. And these are the kind of questions you want to know how to build. Like, ask questions around the product offering of the business. If they are looking at some other parts, like, are you not considering this part? Are you considering this part? Ask questions, most especially many of us that are accountants, ask questions that can boost revenue. Ask questions that can boost revenue. But for entry level questions, you can ask questions around. So one of the questions that I usually ask as an entry level person, even at this stage, which I would also like to ask now, is okay, so I've worked with quite a number of companies, and then the culture are a bit different. So I would like to ask, at Google, how do you treat incompetency? How do you treat incompetency, and how do you deal with incompetency? Like, you give tags and stuff. How do you deal with incompetency? And you wait. Let them tell you about their culture as well. Exactly. How do you deal with incompetency? And the next thing is, you see the HR already thinking. Probably they don't have any policy around it. They are already thinking as well, like, what is this guy saying? And one of the best response we can get is that a company telling you that they offer you training. So to avoid incompetency, they first offer you training. They give you all the support that you need and everything that will make the job easy for you. And the last result will now be to let you go if you are not still performing. And then the next thing you want to do, you want to smile. You want to smile and okay, yeah, that's very much understood. And just like Mr. George has earlier asked a question around you as a person, how are you feeling? What motivates you to come to work every day, or what motivates you to work at Google or to stay at Google, given the fact that it's a global world now and there are so many opportunities flying around? Why are you still at Google? Yeah. So I think that's it for me. Thank you. Those are the questions that I have.
Yeah. And just to add to that, for me, one of the things you will see with time and with experience, you will learn some things. When I'm asking those questions, I'm looking at the HR person, because these are HR questions. And when you ask HR questions, when you see that the HR person is uncomfortable, most likely they don't have strong HR in such organizations. I'm not saying it's the same everywhere, because it's very important. I've seen organizations where the CEO say, go and sack them. HR, in a normal company, HR will fight that, no, I'm not going to sack them. But when you see that HR is even shaking to answer, you know that, okay, I might not be in the right place, But it doesn't mean you shouldn't take the job, It just helps you take a decision around it, It's very, very important that you look, like I said, you are not just being interviewed. You are also interviewing them, because it's very important. Don't go and just say, because they called me for interview. Because at the end of the day, you might not like the job. You might not be the best place for you at this particular point in your career. So I think with that said, I think we have been able to paint the right scenario, and because what we wanted to achieve with this is, I think we eventually achieved it. Is I can tell you so many things in English. We can speak, you can ask, you can write it at comment, but if we don't do real scenarios like this, you might not understand it. You might not learn. Okay, somebody is asking, if you ask questions on current pay, you are not willing to disclose how you do. You can let them know that you have a confidentiality clause in your organization, but that if with time you will share. That you are not comfortable saying it out now, but you will share. Yes, you might look funny to them. What's this one saying? At the end of the day, look, you can't hide your current pay now. You can't, whether you like it or not, because some of them will ask you for pay slips. Some of them will ask you for all that. It doesn't change anything. Your current pay is your current pay. You can't even lie. I tell people, don't. If you can lie, fine. If you can't, don't kill yourself over it. The most important thing is win the interview session. Let them know that you are a value bringing person. You are an asset. Forget pay. The rest is small. As long as the head of finance or whoever is in charge of finance or the CEO who is there likes you, the rest, believe me, is secondary. HR's job is to save costs. They will come and tell you budget, blah, 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 all those stories. But reality is the person who is wearing the shoe. At the end of the day, it's not HR that will do the work now. It's the accountant, it's the finance manager or head of finance that is having a problem. that needs to be solved. Because if he brings in somebody who is shitty for small money, he's the one that will not sleep weekend. He's the one that will be doing double work, checking for errors. But if the guy has seen the person he wants, forget the rest. So I think we've been able to demonstrate that. Idris, do you want to take over from this point?
Okay, so thank you very much, sir, for the insights. In fact, the session actually took a better twist than anticipated. So, Mr. Kudus, thank you very much for joining in the call and sharing your own experience. So we still have one more person in for this demo. Okay, is Yusuf, Mr. Yusuf?
Are you sure the person will still want to be interviewed after this one now?
With all the things that has been said, I wouldn't know that the person, except if he wants to implement what Mr. Kudus and every other person has said or what we've learned thus far. I don't know if Yusuf is on the call. If he's the call, I think that would be it for tonight. Okay, then regarding the payslip issue, I think we had Mr. Akins Suleri on this session some times ago, and okay, he's a recruiter at KPMG, and he told us that there are instances where entry level potential employees now tell you that okay, they are not comfortable sharing their payslips, but he has CFOs that are willing to even give him their payslips and the likes. Yeah. I think they actually.
There's nothing to hide. That's my advice. Like, look,
actually, there is. Please go ahead, boss.
Okay, so I wanted to say there's nothing to hide. If you are not comfortable, yes, you are not comfortable. Nobody will force you because you might have a confidentiality clause with your company. And if they find out later, it can turn to something else for you. But for me as a person, personally, I've never hidden my pay with anybody because look, like for me, like I said, my own focus is to win that session. Once I'm able to convince and I see that the person wants me, if you like, I'm earning 20,000 because sometimes it creates a problem. For example, I'm earning 100K, and like I said, or the 150K example I used, and the budget is 800K. The HR will naturally say, it's too far off, and but because you've already exposed that you're in 150K, the HR will be like, how can we double his salary? If people here now, they will say, no, now you've created problem, So personally, I don't care. Maybe because I've already negotiated over time and I've always negotiated higher and I've moved to a point where I am comfortable. But at this early stage,
so I think in addition to what has been said, I think one thing I would like to add is you shouldn't be afraid to tell them your current pay regardless. And this is what I always do, right? I tell you my current pay and I let you know that, bro, when I was getting this job, my current pay is this because of this is what I was then, But now I have added so and so qualifications, so and so certifications. I have grown, and you can't judge me based on my current pay. So if I'm negotiating, you should know that I'm negotiating based on my current and future expected values, and not just because of my past values, So it's one of those things you actually you shouldn't be shy to tell your current pay, but at the same time, you should just find a way to bubble your way around the fact
exactly.
that, okay, so this is my current pay. However, I'm earning this because of when I started the job, this is what I have. These are the skill set that I have. Over the period, I have developed this skill set. I have earned this certification. I've completed this degree. I've done this. I've done that, And of course, they can't base you on that. And just like Mr. George has said, the best approach you want to take to any interview is winning the interview first, and not about the pay. Just win the interview first. Let everybody be very, very, wow, this guy, wow. When you win the interview, like I used to tell the story of my what's it called? When I started my career, I was earning 10,000 naira. The next job that I got 52,000 naira. That's over 500%, right? And of course, the next one after that, over 400%. Before you know it, it just keeps increasing, and that's because I've won the interview first. You need to win the interview first. If you are the best guy, you demonstrated the best of abilities for that role, trust me, nobody will care about your current pay. The worst thing they can do is just to reduce or stop. But if you know your stuff, you will negotiate, and if the budget suits yours, you guys get along.
Yeah, and just the last tip to add to that, even them, believe me, they know that if they negotiate you too low and you find out, you will leave. So they are also conscious of that. Take it from me. They know that if we're going to bring this guy too low now, the guy will leave. So most times what they'll probably do is when they negotiate even lower for you than the budget, they will be watchful of you to know that, okay, when can we up this guy's pay? I've seen it where they'll not say, okay, upon confirmation, we increase you to this. So there's always a way around it. By the time you even get into the system, you can still go back and renegotiate. It happens. I've seen it so many times. Look, boss, I'm sorry to come and meet you for this purpose, but I saw that I'm not as paid as some other people that I believe I should. There are ways around it. You renegotiate your contract, and at the end of the day, you get it. The most important thing is just show that value, and the rest is easier. So, thanks.
Okay, so thank you very much, Stars. I think my own little contribution, in addition to what has been said, okay, in as much as we try to win interviews or in our quest to win interviews, we should always try as much as possible to relate our stories to things that we've actually done or things that we know and actually practiced in the past, so that in the course where you tell your own story and you're asked a question around what you said you've done before, you don't now be faltering. Okay, you that you said you've done this before, and you don't even know what to say regarding that. I think that's one key thing that we should note too. So, Mr. George, I don't know if you have anything to say regarding that.
Oh yeah, so very important. Look, the interview is one thing, the ability to do the work is another thing. So there are different stages. Stage one is the CV, which is to even get to be invited. Then stage two is the interview session. Then stage three, when you get in. Look, the reality is nobody expects you to know everything. Even if you lie, and I always tell people this, the most important part of your life and your career is your network. You need to be able to have people you can always reach out to. And that's one of the reasons why we're all doing this. Nobody's paying any of us. I'm sure nobody's paying anybody here to do this. But the point is, even if you have lied and you've gotten the job, next thing is, how do I, demonstrate that I can do what I said I need? So it's a continuous development process. You need to keep developing, because what that does is, there's always the learning curve. Every organization expects you that within the first 1 to 3 months, you are learning. Even at the highest level, places that I've gone to as even the highest level, that first 3 months, you will learn. Yes, you will bring in some experience based on you've handled things, you've taken decisions, but you will learn. And in fact, the funniest part of it is, at the very senior level, from my own experience, people I learned from at an earlier stage are mostly the junior staff, because they are the ones who do the field work, they do the work. So they put me through what they do. From there, I can now pick up, okay, this is how you do it. Then over that 3-month cycle, it's important for you to learn as fast as possible. I like to use the sponge or foam mentality, which is my own mentality, that absorb everything. Forget that you're in accounting department. If procurement is doing something, get involved. If sales is doing something, get involved. If HR is doing something, get involved. Everybody. Because what you realize at the end of the day is you have a bigger picture of how the numbers you are reporting is generated. So it's not just accounting to write, to do P&L and submit. No, it's ability to tell the story. I always tell people, your P&L and your balance sheet is telling the story of the business. And the story of the business is not created by the accountant. It's created by people in various departments. Staff cost shows the number of staff HR people hired and how much they pay them. Sales shows the amount of effort the sales department put into the business to generate revenue for the company. Your payments, your payables shows how many items bought by the procurement department that created the accounts payable. So your job is to sit in the middle and put together that story, so that by the time you're presenting it to the key decision makers, your HOD, the CEO, whoever it is, you understand the story you're telling. It's why the sales dropped from 1 million to 800,000. You have the ability to say sales dropped because this particular product, they sold less, and this is why they sold less of that particular product, because there's price war in the market, or whatever the story is. So it's not just going out, okay, I've told the story, I've gotten the job. Your learning continues at every point in time, because at the end of the day, it's a journey. Your whole career is a journey. It's not just about your job or your pay. I can assure you one thing: whatever you think you earn today, or whatever you are looking at earning, by the time 4 or 5 years down the line, you will be feeling bad. This money is too small. I've seen it. I know people. I've been in a situation where I know people who earn 1 million, 2 million net every month, and you think our mother person is the king, until you meet somebody earning 5 million a month. Like, can they pay a human being 5 million naira every month for doing work? The same work. So it's the same thing. It's a journey. Your career is a journey. 5 years, 10 years. 20 years. So you must continuously develop yourself and keep looking at the next level. Ask yourself, if you're an accountant, what does an account supervisor do? Once you get that level, what does a manager do? Once you get to that level, what does the senior manager do? Once you're at that level, what does the CFO do? At that level, what does the CEO do? Then once you even hit those levels, what does the board of directors do? Group of companies. So you have to keep learning and keep developing yourself. It's a continuous process. So that's what I say. Once you're in, build your network, reach out to people, unlearn what you've learned before, learn new things, and keep developing. And that way you will just keep moving further. So Idris, thanks.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir, for this insight and for this session that was this evening. So I think with that, we'll draw the curtain here. We still expect to host another session come end of this month where we would invite an HR executive and another finance expert to talk to us. So till then, thank you for attending this one, and we do hope to have another engagement with you soon.
No problem. I think somebody was asking about contact details. I think maybe it should be shared in different forums later on. So feel free, reach out, and let's build this finance field together. Every other industry is being disrupted, tech and co. It's high time we take this finance thing to a level where it used to be in the past. If you're an accountant before, a finance person, you used to be the highest paid in many organizations. But now I see people talking of tech, coding. This same field adds the same value to every organization. We just need to move it to that level such that when you are a finance person, you can be hired anywhere in the world and earn the highest pay in whatever organizations you have. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. So you can actually, if you are here and you would like to have or join in subsequent sessions, you can join any of our platforms or our community platforms. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and we have WhatsApp group chats too, where we engage our community members on daily basis. So I've pasted the link to our LinkedIn channel on the chat box, so you can actually check what we've been doing on LinkedIn and possibly follow us from there. So thank you very much for attending this one, everyone. So if there is anyone who wants to talk, or if you have any question or any contribution, you can actually come in now before we end the call.
You can drop the link again before you sign out so that at least people can have access to those links.